Sill, kill target 1.
They're kind of behind a wall.
Oh, fuck you. Hey folks, Hudson here, and this is There Came an Echo, a successfully kickstarted game developed by Iridium Studios, who are known for their debut title Sequence. There Came an Echo, in concept, is the type of game that I've always wanted to play. It's a real-time tactics game where you control your squad through voice commands. There are very few games that use voice controls, and even fewer ones that do them well, and base the entire game around them. The only two I can think of at the moment are Seaman for the Dreamcast and Lifeline for the PlayStation 2. Pretty much every other game slaps it on as a last-minute optional half-assed quote-unquote feature. There Came an Echo's voice controls are excellent. The recognition is almost spot on. The game recognized what I was saying pretty much 98% of the time in my playthrough. Here, see for yourself how well it recognizes what I'm saying in my hungover as shit slur. Miranda, recharge. Grace, recharge. Corin, recharge. Miranda, switch to screw.
Understood.
Sill, switch to charge. Corin, switch to rail. You can also rename commands, giving them custom names, and the game still recognizes what you're saying. For example, I named the main character Chungus, in tribute of Jim Sterling, and it recognized it perfectly fine. They have different settings for different accent recognition, such as British and Australian, and in 10 days they will have foreign language support as well. The technology here is extremely impressive, and I was gidding like a schoolgirl giving commands to my squad, as that is always something I wanted to do in a game. As long as you have a decent enough mic and low background noise, you should be fine. You can pretty much do everything with the voice controls, from navigating the main menu to pausing and resuming the game. You can control the camera as well, but I don't recommend it. That is the only aspect that I suggest using the mouse or keyboard, for it takes way too long to say something like zoom to Alpha 4 while also having to control your squad around. It becomes a problem because, as impressive the technology is, there's also a huge limitation. It only recognizes one phrase at a time. This means after giving a command, you need to take a short pause before you can give out another one. That is really unfortunate. Now let's take a look at the other aspects of There Came an Echo. The presentation is superb, the soundtrack and story are both fucking amazing. It's very much inspired by The Matrix. Hell, the opening sequence is nearly identical to it. Guy's working in his office and gets a call from an unknown stranger telling him his life is in danger as armed men are entering the building and going after him. And you help guide him to escape. Karen is a cryptographer and anonymously created an unbreakable encryption method called Radio Lock. He believes that there is no hardware that is powerful enough to run it yet, but the mercenary team chasing him know otherwise, as they need him to break his unbreakable encryption to get a hold of some very dangerous information. He is aided by Val and yourself. You play as Sam. It's nice they gave you a unisex name, since Sam has no voice other than yours.
I'm helping myself. And what's your name, by the way?
I'm Val. Nice to meet you.
And your partner?
That's Sam. Say hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Ha ha, very funny.
Corin quickly teams up with a small group of people, and the rest of the story is full of plot twists, conspiracies, and philosophy. The voice acting is equally as good, starring some very well-known people such as Will Wheaton, known for his role in Star Trek Generation as Wesley Crusher. There's even a little Easter egg that you can get by saying, "Shut up, Wesley." Shut up, Wesley.
Hey, don't talk to me like that. I don't care that it's a voice-powered game. I can hear you, and it hurts.
Unfortunately, that's pretty much all that's good about the game. The technology, the story, the soundtrack, and the voice acting. The combat is ridiculously simplistic, there aren't very many combat commands available, and little strategy is required. You can queue up several orders by saying "on my mark", then have your squad follow up on them by saying "mark". My strategy, or lack thereof, was the same for the whole game. I'd queue up for everyone to go to a certain position in the room, maybe have them switch weapons, maybe have them focus a specific target, and just about always, I came out victorious. Each level has the same structure. You go from a certain section to a certain section to certain section, clearing out enemies. The enemies never attack you unless you're in their line of sight, and they're always in defensive positions. They never come out to fight you. Each character carries a pistol, and there's also 4 special weapons available. The screw is a fast-firing weapon that does very little damage but can be used to suppress enemies. The charge fires an AoE blast. The rail fires a high-powered shot. Sniper is pretty much the same as the rail, except it does more damage, but you cannot fire it if you're getting shot. All these weapons use up your energy, which is an interesting mechanic, I'll admit, since that same energy is used to power up your shields. It's supposed to be a risk-reward system, but I've rarely had any issues just running into the room with my special weapons and going all guns blazing, since each squad member carries 2 extra batteries with them. Use them to recharge your energy and you're back at full shields. I only had difficulty in one mission, and that mission was just patched to be easier anyway. If your shields actually do go down, the next shot incapacitates you, but your squad members can revive each other. Sadly, there is no character progression. At the beginning of the game, your characters are as strong as they'll ever be. You'll quickly gain access to all the weapons available, and the only other form of unique customization are passive perks that are very underwhelming, since most of them are simply accuracy upgrades. Another issue with the combat is, since this is meant to be playing using voice controls, it limits to where your squad mates can go. They can only go to the designated points on the map. In conclusion, the only satisfying aspect of the combat is that you're actually doing everything with your voice. You can play the game using keyboard and mouse, but I don't recommend it. It's very clunky, there are no hotkeys, and most actions bring up a radial menu where you have to select what you want your squad to do. It also doesn't speed up the combat, as Val will then take control and give the voice command herself, instead of you. Moving on to other issues now, well, one of them is the length. This game is only 4 hours long, and it doesn't really have any replay value. It's fully linear, there are no side quests, there are no side missions. The structure is cutscene, combat mission, cutscene, followed by next mission. To make things worse, there is just about as much cutscene and dialogue as there is combat. I am not joking. 40 to 50% of this game are unskippable cutscenes. Don't get me wrong, I love the story, but this only leaves you with about 2 hours of actual combat. For a game that is advertised as a real-time strategy with voice controls, that's really disappointing. The cutscenes themselves are a bit disappointing due to the game's graphics. While it has a nice clean futuristic look, the animation quality is just dog shit. It reminds me of the classic RPG Xenosaga Episode 3. For some sort of reason, in that one they decided not to have CGI cutscenes anymore, and instead have characters standing around talking with bad animations. That's what this reminds me of. The unskippable nature of the cutscenes, it's also a huge annoyance due to my last complaint. The bugs. There are many cases where I was forced to either reload the game or restart the mission, and had to go through all that dialogue all over again. Here's how to avoid one of the game's bugs. Never give the screw gun to Miranda. Never. Don't even fucking think about it. There were 3 missions where I told her to switch the screw and she says she couldn't. When I clicked on the gun to have her manually change it, the icon changed and she magically had a charge gun instead. In one mission, because of this bug, she had 2 charge guns. It was fucking ridiculous. You can't even have more than 2 of the same weapon loaded out to your squad. So there were 3 on the field, which would be impossible otherwise. Another great bug is that the game pauses itself randomly for no reason. I don't know what to say about that. On launch, something that was really fucking annoying was that the game installed CCCP codec pack without asking you for any permission. What the fuck, developers? I don't want any extra shit on my hard drive. This has now been patched, and the devs said you can uninstall it, which was very convenient since it deleted my installation of Media Player Classic along with all of my customized settings.
Turret 2, lane 4.
CCCP codec has now been replaced by Xvid. The hilarious thing is, it now introduces a new bug. When you select to play a new game, you're met with a black screen. Mashing the escape key eventually finally gets the game to start, but this skips the opening cutscene. The solution on the forums, this was written by a developer, reinstall CCCP. Rich. That's just fucking rich. Fuck you. The last and worst bug, which renders this game sometimes unplayable, is that the voice recognition simply stops working. Everyone move to Alpha 8. Everyone move to Alpha 8. This is why I had to restart many missions. There's no reason for me to play such a simple game using a mouse and keyboard. The whole point is to use your voice. So I had to sit there watching God knows how many minutes of dialogue over and over and over again. Currently, there's no solution to this. There have been 2 patches and a beta version of a new patch available, but there's still no fix. I'm sorry, but having the main feature of your game not working frequently is simply inexcusable. And I'm sick and fucking tired of every PC game being a bug-ridden disaster on launch. What the fuck? I don't give a fuck if you're an indie. Those bourgeois pieces of shit at Capcom released the stuttery crash-pwned fuck of Resident Evil Revelations 2. Evolve as the mouse cursor stuck to your fucking screen. Hell, fucking This War of Mine fucked over 3 hours of progress with a bug that made beating my first run of the game impossible. Fuck you! You realize this fucking shit could have simply been avoided if you delayed the game by a week or two? With all my complaints, when the game did work, I had fun. It's not a great game, but it's not terrible. There Came an Echo feels more of a proof of concept. It feels like something a developer would show to a publisher in order to get a green light for a full-fledged game. It's like Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system. That game was fun, sure, but it was nothing more than Ascreed meets Batman, with a new, interesting, innovative feature that felt like little work was put into it as it was very, very primitive. I would still recommend There Came an Echo if you like what you've seen in this video. It has a phenomenal story, the gameplay and control system is fun and innovative, albeit very simplistic. I really hope this inspires more developers to do voice controls, or for the devs of this game to do something like this but longer and bigger in scope. Lastly, it's cheap. It's $15 and it's on sale right now. But I would hold off on buying it or playing it for a few weeks until the developers sort out all these bugs. I'm sure they will, as they've already released 2 patches and the game has only been out for 2 days. However, it's not an excuse and there's no reason for this game to have been released in such a state. Exit program. Oh yeah, the game also crashes when you exit it. It doesn't even fucking close properly. Oh.